Hi, I'm RL from A-Cube Piano Studio. In this video here, I'll be going through the Music Theory Practice Paper Grade 4 by ABRSM. Okay, so the first section is on rhythm, so let's do them together. Alright, so you're asked to select the correct time signature for the bar. Okay, so if you have to look at it, is either the beats are either counted in terms of crotchet beats or in terms of quaver beats. So this is 3/4, this is 4/4 time. So what I'll do is I will count it in terms of crotchet beats first. Reason is because I see a triplet. So when I see a triplet, I suspect that it is more likely to be in simple time than to be in compound time. One of the giveaway is this one here. This is equals to 1 crotchet beat. Okay, if it's in 9/8 time, it should be grouped with another quaver, but it is not. So this is an indication that very likely this is going to be in simple time. Okay, but let's do it. So I'm going to count it in terms of crotchet beat. So a dotted quaver plus a semi-quaver will be equals to a crotchet beat. This triplet is equivalent to a crotchet beat as well. Then this dotted crotchet plus a quaver is equals to a minimum. So total 1, 2, 3, 4 crotchet beats in a bar. Okay, so therefore the answer is this one, common time or 4/4 time. Okay, something important, I usually ask students to remember the common grouping of notes. Like for example, this plus this will give you a minimum beat. The dotted quaver plus a semi-quaver is equals to a crotchet beat because they come up very often. Moving on to the next question. Again, time signature. So if I look at it, a lot of it are quavers or smaller than a quaver. So you can either count it in terms of quaver beats or semi-quaver beats. So what I'll do is I'll just count it in terms of semi-quaver beats. Okay, but you can also count it in terms of quaver beats because I see a lot of semi-quavers, right? Okay, so 2 demi-semi-quavers is equals to 1 semi-quaver. So there's 1 semi-quaver, 2 semi-quavers, 3 semi-quavers. So here you have 3 semi-quavers. Okay, now you have a dotted semi-quaver plus a demi-semi-quaver. So it will be equals to, so this is equals to, this dotted semi-quaver is equals to a semi-quaver plus a demi-semi-quaver. Then plus this demi-semi-quaver here. So 2 demi-semi-quaver is equals to a semi-quaver. So this 2 will be equals to 2 semi-quaver beats plus another 1 here. So there is another 3 semi-quaver beats here. So in other words, I have 6 semi-quaver beats per bar. When you have semi-quaver beats per bar, then your bottom number should be 16 and the top should be 6. So the time signature for this should be 6/16. Next, let's look at this. So looking at this, very likely I can count in terms of crotchet beats because here's a crotchet, here's a crotchet. So very likely it's easier to count in terms of crotchet or crotchet beats. Okay, so let's look at this. This dotted crotchet plus a quaver is equals to a minimum beat, which is equals to 2 crotchets. This is equals to 2 crotchets again. This one is equals to 1 crotchet and another crotchet. So total there are 6 crotchet beats, right? So if you have 6 crotchet beats in a bar, it is also equals to 3 minimum beats in a bar, right? So it could be 6/4, it could be 3/2, right? Definitely it is not 12/8. Do you know what is the reason? Well, this is because if it is a 12/8, it is compound time. So you should be grouping them in this manner. So one look at this portion here would be wrong already because I should split this rest into something like this so that the last 3 quaver beats can be grouped together. So 12/8 is out. So is it 3/2 or is it 6/4? This is a very common question that students will ask me, okay? Because there are 6 crotchet beats in a bar, right? So should it be 6/4 or 3/2? Well, for this case, we will need to take a look at the grouping, because 3/2 time means 3 minimum beats in a bar, which is equivalent to 6 crochet beats. 6/4 time is equals to 6 crochet beats in a bar. Okay, if you were to look at them, 3 minimum is equals to 6 crochet. So how do I tell which one is correct? Well, recall that 6/4 is compound time. So if you were to group 6/4, you should group it this way. The first 3 crochet beads should be grouped together. The second group of 3 crochet beads should be grouped together. But if you were to look at this portion here, this is the first 2 crochet bead, and then the third and the fourth crochet beads are together. So if it is 6/4 time, this is not correct. If it's 6/4 time, instead, this minimum bead should be split into 2 crochets with a tie. Okay, because you need to be able to separate the first 3 beads from the next 3 beads. So if it is 6/4 time, it should be grouped this way instead. Okay, this is 6/4 time. Okay, so this should be written as this if it is 6/4 time. But if it's 3/2 times, then they should be grouped by 1 minimum bead by 1 minimum bead. So this is the first minimum bead. This is the second minimum bead. And this is the third minimum bead. So they are grouped in the 3/2 time manner. So the answer for this should be 3/2 time. Alright, next question here. Here's a bar in simple time. Identify which of the following shows the bar correctly written in compound time. So for this one, this is 3/4 time. All of these do not have the same time signature. So we need to convert it. So from simple time to compound time, there's a formula, right, to change it into compound time. So what do? We will times 2 at the bottom. Okay, and we'll times 3 at the top. So it should be 9, 8. So the first one is out already. Okay. Next, what do? So for simple time, your crochets will become dotted crochets, right? Your how should I write it? Your for compound time, if you have this, then simple time, it should have a triplet. So your triplet sign should be removed when you go to compound time. So in other words, crochet becomes dotted crochet. Triplet, you remove the triplet sign, no more. Then if you have a crochet, how do you make it into a dotted crochet if you have something like this, 2 quavers? Well, you will put a duplet sign above, then this will be equal to the time value of a dotted crochet. So you have this. So the one that shows this is this one, the second one. So the answer is this. Okay, now fill in the blanks. In 9/16, there are how many dotted quiver beads in a bar? So a dotted quiver is this, right? So what is 9/16? 9/16 means there are 9 semi-quiver beads per bar. Okay. So let's draw it out something like this. Okay, and this 3 semi-quiver is equivalent to a dotted quavers. So there are 3 dotted quavers in a bar in 9/16. Okay. Moving on to this. Okay, in 3/2 time, this is equals to how many minimums? So here we are. Okay, so remember when you have a triplet, it's like 3 becomes 2, right? So the time value is equal to just the time value of 2 of them without the triplet sign. So, and this 2 crochets is equals to 1 minimum. So therefore the answer is in 3/2 time, this is equals to 1 minimum. Okay. Okay, all right. Okay, moving on to the next part. Let me erase this first. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. So select which of these bars is grouped correctly. So we have 6 8 time, right? So 6 8 time. So how do we group 6 8 time? 6 8 time is compound time, so we group it in 3 beats by 3 beats, right? And because 8 is quaver beats, there are 6 quaver beats per bar, we'll group them in this manner. Okay, so let's try to write them up in terms of quaver beats. So this is 1 2 3, the first 3 quaver beats. This is the 4th quaver beat. This one is the 5th quaver beat, and this one is the 6th quaver beats. And I can group them first 3 and the next 3. So this one is correct. Okay, but before we do that, let's continue. Let's take a look at the second one. This is 1 2 quaver beat. This is the 3rd quaver beat. So this one is wrong already because these should be grouped together. You shouldn't join the 3rd beat to the 4th, 5th, and the 6th. 4th and the 5th beat, okay, because in 6 8 time we'll group the first 3 beats together and then the next 3 beats together. Okay, so this is wrong. Now let's take a look at this. This is 1 2 3. Okay, then this one is the 4th quaver beat, 5th quaver beat, and the 6th quaver beats, and we can beam all of them together. Okay, so this is not correct. Okay, so the correct answer is this one here. This one is grouped correctly. Next question, show whether each group of rest is correct or incorrect. So this one is 4 2 time, right? So for 4 2 time, how do we group? Well, we'll group them minimum beat by minimum beat. So to group them minimum beat by minimum beat, okay, let's take a look at this. So let me write it out. I have 4 2 time. I can group them minimum by minimum by minimum by minimum. Okay, but what happens is if it is not semiquavers, if the note value is greater than a semiquaver or a dotted semiquaver, then we can actually group them this way as well. First and second minimum beat can be grouped together. Third and fourth minimum beat can be grouped together. Okay, but very important, second and third minimum beat cannot cross each other. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. So let's count in terms of minimum beat. This is the first minimum beat. This is the second minimum beat. So this is the third minimum beat. This is the fourth minimum beat. Remember, the third and fourth can be grouped together. So instead of writing 2 minimum rest, we can use a semi-brief rest here, which is this. So this is incorrect. So X is incorrect. Okay, next, let's take a look at this one here. So I need the first minimum beat. So if you look at this, 2 quavers plus a crotchet is the first minimum beat. So this is the first minimum beat. Okay, so this is correct. Then this is the second minimum. So it is correct. Then this is the third minimum. And this is the fourth minimum. Okay, so because my third and fourth are not the same, right? Unlike this, the third and fourth are just rest. This one, let me say again. I said that the first and second beat can be grouped together. The third and fourth beats can be grouped together, right? Provided they are the same. That means they are all rest. But now, because the first beat, it is not totally at rest, right? Only part of it is at rest. For the first minimum beat, only the last quaver is a rest. So we will not group it together with the next minimum beat, although we can group 1 and 2 together. So this is correct because we should group beat by beat once they are not the same. Okay, so we should group rest beat by beat once they are not the same. Next, moving on to this one here. Let's look at this. This is the first 2 minimum beats, right? 1 2, because this one is a dotted minimum, so it equals to 3 crotchet beats, or a minimum plus a crotchet beat. So this is the first beat from here. This is the second beat. Okay, this is the third beat, and this whole thing is the fourth beat. They should be grouped together with a minimum rest. You shouldn't separate them because both of them are the same, and what's more, they are part of the fourth beat. So this is incorrect. So Z is incorrect. Next, let's move on to pitch. So select the name of this note. So this one is A with double flat, so it's called A double flat. Next, this one is D, and this symbol here is double sharp, so this is D double sharp. Okay, this one here, okay, autoclave is not natural to me, so what I'll do is what I teach my students who are mostly piano students to remember reference notes. So this is middle C, which I call C4, and this is C5, C that is one octave higher than middle C. And if this is C, this is B, right? Because it's one note lower, and that's a flat. So this is B flat. Alright, so let me erase everything. Okay, so now let's move on to this one here. This one, so what is this note, right? So this is C6, right? This one is the C that is 2 octaves higher than the middle C. So this is C that's 2 octaves higher than middle C. Then this is D. And this is E. And this will be F. Okay, and there's a sharp here. So this is F sharp. Okay, next, drag and drop the note head into the mark area and rewrite this note to the new clef, keeping the pitch the same. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is middle C, which is my C4 here. And this is middle C, which is my C4 here. And the next C, C5 is here. This is the C5, right? So now what is this note? This is C, then this is D, E, F, G. This is G sharp. So this should be the G sharp that is in between the middle C and C5. Okay, so the should be here. All right. So this is the G sharp that is in between C4, which is middle C, and C5, which is the C that is 1 octave higher than our middle C. Let's look at this. So this is my middle C. So this is C, then this is D, this is E, this is F. So this is C, D, this middle C, which is the same as this, then the D, E, F. So this note is F, right? And the F on the treble clef is here. So here it is. Right, let me erase everything. So next, you are asked for true and false for this question here. So for this type of question, what I recommend is try to use reference notes, and usually I tell students just use the first note. So this is C4, middle C, and this is C5, which is 1 octave higher than C4. So if you look at this option A is in between C4 and C5. The first note of option A is in between C4 and C5, so let's put it here. Next, this is middle C, and this is the C that is 1 octave higher, so it's C4 and C5. So this first note here is again in between C4 and C5, so option B is here. Okay, so I highly recommend remembering where the C's are for the different class, where the middle C is 1 octave higher, and so on. Okay, now let's take a look at this. So this one, I'll put it, this one is middle C, C4. This one is C3, 1 octave lower than middle C. And then here it's C2, which is 2 octave lower than middle C. And you notice the first note here is in between C2 and C3. So option C is here. So what can we tell from here? We can tell that A and B are the same pitch, Then this one, option C is 1 octave, 2 octaves, 2 octaves lower than A and B, or A and B are 2 octaves higher than option C. Okay, so let's answer the question. A and B are at the same pitch. This is true. C is 1 octave lower than A. No, C is 2 octaves lower than A. So this is false. Okay. Next, this is the enharmonic question. So this one is A double flat, right? So let's draw out the piano. So remember that if you have natural, okay, it is the white note itself. So A natural is basically just here. Now, if you have a flat, you'll be one semitone. I'll use ST as semitone. So ST represents semitone. So one semitone lower will be flat, and another semitone lower than the flat will be double flat. So in other words, right, from natural to double flat is 2 semitones lower. Similarly, for conversely, for sharp, it is 1 semitone higher, and double sharp is another 1 more semitone higher than sharp. Okay, or in other words, natural and double sharp, they are 2 semitones apart, with the double sharp being higher. So now I have A. Okay, this is A, but I have double flat. So double flat, you'll be 2 semitones away from A, right? So this is A double flat. And this A double flat is the same as G, okay? But there's no G, so this one is G sharp, right? It's not correct. This is F, it's not correct. How about F double sharp? This is F here, right? Maybe let me use another color. This is F. So if you have a double sharp, it is 2 semitones higher than the one without the so this one is F. So now I'm going to go 2 semitones higher than the natural. So this is F sharp, and this is F double sharp. So you notice that A double flat is the same as F double sharp. So the answer is this one here. Okay, the same question again, same type of questions on enharmonic. So for this one here, you have C sharp. Okay, so for this one, let's draw out the piano again. Okay, so because I am very close to, let me change it back to black. Okay, so because I'm very close to here, I think I need more of this portion. So I'll draw this portion here instead of F, G, A, B. I draw lower than C. Okay, so now I have C sharp, right? Which is here. Okay, which one is enharmonic to it? The first one is D flat, D double flat. So let's take a look at D. Remember, flat means lower, 1 semitone lower. This is D. So this one is D flat, right? So C sharp and D flat are enharmonic. Here is D, it's not the same as the C sharp here. D double flat, it's C. So D, this is D double flat. This one is D, this is D flat, this is D double flat. So we know that C sharp is enharmonic to D flat. Alright, now that we have completed the second section on pitch, next let's go on to keys and scales. So what I always recommend to students is to write out the key signature chart as well as the key signature. So for grade 4, right, you are expected to know major and minor keys up to 5 sharps and 5 flats. So write it out, then write the key signature for your treble clef, bass clef, and alto clef with 5 flats and 5 sharps. Then you can just refer to it for the rest of the exam. You don't need to keep writing it. Alright? Okay, so now let's go. So firstly, select the correctly written key signature of C sharp minor. So once you have written that out, right, very easy, just refer to what you have written. So please check before you use it, okay? Okay, so we know that C sharp minor has 4 sharp, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. Okay, and, okay, so if you look at this, there are 4 sharps, right, for C sharp minor. So straight away, this one is out already. Then the sharps are F, G, F, C, G, D. So this one is correct. Okay, this one, this is F, correct. This is C, correct. This is G. But remember, the pattern is like this for alto clef. The first sharp, the second sharp, the third sharp, the fourth sharp. So this is wrong. Okay, if you look at the pattern, you know that it's wrong already. Then for this is F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. It should be D sharp, but here is B sharp. So this is wrong. So the answer will be this one here. Okay, this is the correct key signature for F sharp minor. Okay, so once you have written out the key signature with 5 sharps, you just look at, okay, cover up the last sharp. You'll be able to tell which one is the one with the 4 sharps. Okay, moving on. Okay, let's take a look. select the correctly written key signature of D flat major. Again, you should refer to the key signature chart that you have already written out. Okay, and then for D flat major, we know that how many flat does it have? B flat, E flat, A flat, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, right? So 5 flats. So straight away, this is out. Okay, then is D's flat. Okay, it's something like this. And you know the pattern, right? It is definitely not this. It is something like this. Start from here again. First flat, second flat, third flat, fourth flat, and fifth flat for bass clef. So the pattern is wrong for this one. So this is out. Okay, so we are left with this two, right? So let's check B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. This is correct. B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F flat. No. So this is out. So the answer is this one. All right. Did it move on? Okay, maybe let me just press the next one. Okay. Okay, now we'll go on to 19. Okay, next we are asked to select the correct key of the melody. So again, use your key signature chart. So for this, let's first start off by writing out what are the sharps that we see. So this one is C sharps, G sharp, C sharp again. We know that whenever we start off with C, there should be F sharp, right? Before you can have C sharp in the key signature, you must first have F, then followed by C, then G. Okay, so if you have these three sharps, it is either A major or F sharp minor. But for F sharp minor, you should sharpen the 7th note, so you should have E sharp. So let's take a look at this. Okay, the first thing, I don't see any F sharp because there's no F note here. Okay, so it's okay. So, but I can narrow it down to A major or F sharp minor. So there's no F sharp minor as the option, so it should be A major. It can be D major because there's G sharp. Okay, then it can't be C sharp minor because C sharp minor should have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. There's also no D sharp here. Okay, is there any B note? If there's B note, the 7th note of C sharp minor should be sharpened, but this B is not sharpened, so it's unlikely to be C sharp minor. Okay. Okay, E minor only has F sharp. The sharpened 7th note is D sharp. Okay, so it's not correct too. So from here, we know that the answer is basically just A major. Okay, next let's take a look at this. So one look at this, when you have flat and sharp, right, you can just be sure that it's a minor key. Okay, and another thing is the sharp is due to the sharpened 7th note. Okay, and then this flat here is very likely to be part of the key signature because you can, when you sharpen the 7th note, it either becomes natural sharp or double sharp. You'll never have flat. Okay, so therefore this one is due to the sharpened 7th note of the harmonic minor. So you look at this, this is B flat and you have F sharp as the 7th note. Okay, it could also be the 6th note if it's melodic minor, you sharpened it. Okay, so if this is the 7th note and it's F sharp, then it is very likely G minor, right? Okay, so if it's G minor, you should have B flat and E flat, but I only see B flat here. Then if you check, there is no E, right? There's no E, that's why you won't see any E flat because there's no E. So because of this F sharp here, okay, we will conclude that this is G minor because if I assume that there is only one flat in the key signature and it's a minor key, is D minor, right? But what is the sharpened 7th note of D minor? Is C sharp. If I want to include the 6th note for melodic, is B. Okay, then I'll just have B natural. But here, you got B flat, okay, for melodic scale for D minor. So in other words, it's a clear indication that it's not D minor, but instead it should be G minor. We don't see any E flat because there isn't any E here. Moving on to this one here. So you're asked to select the correct key for this one again. So you have these flats. So let me write out the flats. You have A flat, you have E flat, and you have D flat, right? Okay, but the first flat you must have in any key signature is B flat. Okay, but we don't see any B here, so there's no B flat. Okay, after B is E, A, D. So if you have such key signature, it's either A flat major or F minor. Okay, so is it going to be A flat major or F minor? F minor. So for F minor, the sharpened seventh note, the seventh note is E, right? And because there's E flat, instead of writing E flat, I'll have E natural. So let's take a look at this. You'll say, oh, there's E flat, so it must be A flat major. But be careful. Look here. This is E natural. So there's an E natural here, then there's an E flat here. So what is it telling you? Well, you could have melodic, right? So for melodic minor, you only sharpen, okay? You can sharpen it, then the E flat becomes the E natural, or you can don't have the sharpening, so it's like a natural minor, or it is basically your melodic minor when it's descending. Okay, so for this one here, it is more likely for it to be your F minor, okay, than your A flat major because of this E natural here. Okay. Alright, so next let's move on to this part here. We need to, this is the correctly written chromatic scale beginning on G. So for this type of things, first thing you check this, start with G, end with G, correct. Okay, next, we need to make sure that every single note, okay, ignore the flat and sharp and whatsoever is used, and there's no note that is used more than twice. Okay, so G, then these two are A, then B, then C, then D, then E, then F, then G. Can. So now that we've checked that all the notes are being used at least once and none of it is being used more than twice, let's draw out the piano to check that the notes go from ascending in from one semitone to another. So this is G, which is here. A flat is here. A is here. B flat is here. B natural is here. C is here. C sharp is here. D is here. E flat is here. E natural is here. F is here. F sharp is here. G is here. So this is true. This is a correctly written chromatic scale beginning on G. Okay. Moving on to this one. This is a correctly written chromatic scale beginning on B. So let's first check this. Start and end with B. So this is B. This is B. So correct. Next, let's check. Okay, we are going to ignore all the sharp and flat. We want to make sure that all the notes from this B to this B are used at least once and none of it is used more than twice. So this B, this A, G, F, E, D, C, B. So every note from this B or to this B here, ignoring the sharp and flat, are used at least once. Okay, and none of it is used more than twice. So next, we need to check whether it is the correct do they go from one semitone to the next semitone. Okay, so this is B, so it is here. Okay, I should, because it's descending, I should be using this B here. Okay, so this B, the starting note, then A sharp, which is this is here. This A will be here. This G sharp is here. This G natural is here. This F sharp is here. E sharp, so E, when you put a sharp, is one semitone higher, so this is E sharp. Okay, then this one is E here. Then D sharp is here. D natural, which is this one. Then C sharp is here. C is here, and then B. So yes, they go from one semitone to the other one. So this is a correctly written chromatic scale beginning on B. So it's true. Next, select the omitted pitches marked X and Y to complete the F sharp harmonic minor. So again, please refer to the key chart that you have written. For the exam, for the ABRSM online computer-based exam, you're allowed to have white pieces of rough paper, and that is where you're going to draw out your key signature charts and also the pianos as working, okay, to help you in the exam. So once you have written out the key signature chart for the major and minor keys in sharps and flats, you can refer it to read for the rest of the exam. So now coming back to this, so for F sharp harmonic minor, you have F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp as part of the key signature. So you have harmonic, right? Harmonic. So for harmonic, you need to sharpen the 7th note for both ascending and descending. So the 7th note is E, and you need to sharpen it. Okay? So this is F sharp, okay? Then E sharp, then D, correct? Then C sharp, B, then A, then G, you need a sharp G. So it's G sharp, then F sharp. So X should be A, and Y should be G sharp. Okay. Moving on to this, select the correctly written scale of F melodic minor ascending. So again, refer to the key signature chart that you have written. Then for F minor, you have these in the key signature, right? Okay, and because it is melodic minor and is ascending, your 6th and 7th note should be sharpened. So D and E are D is the 6th note and E is the 7th note, right? And because D should have a flat, so when you sharpen a flat, it becomes D natural, or simply just D. Similarly, in F minor, if you look at the key signature, you have an E flat. So if you have to sharpen a flat, it becomes natural. So it's also E, just E note. Okay, so let's look at this. So this is ascending, right? Ascending, so you need to sharpen the 6th and the 7th note. So this is out already because they shouldn't have flat. They shouldn't have flat. The 6th note shouldn't have flat. This is okay, but this is wrong. So one look at it, this one should be the correct answer. But let's check. So I have F, then G, then there's A flat, then B flat, then C, then D and E. Instead of writing D flat and E flat, because it is melodic, it should be D without anything, and then E, and then finally F. So the first one is the correct answer. Okay, next, you are asked to select the correctly written scale of B major descending. So B major, so from your key signature chart, you know that B major has 5 sharps, right? F, C, G, D, and A. Okay, so if you look at the scale, right, the first note is B and B, right? Then there should be 5 sharps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but this one got flat, so straight away you don't need to check this, you know it's out, because B major has sharps, not flat. Okay. Next, you look at the first note. It's different already, right? These two, the first note are different, right? So you check which one is B, right? So this one is your C4 on autoclave, and this one is your C5 on your autoclave. So this is C, then this is B. So this is B. And here is C, go down one step is B. So this is B and B. How about this? C, D, E, F, G, A. This is A. Oops. This is A. And this is also A. So your B major must start with B, right? So out already. The first one is out. So the answer will be the second one. Okay. Next, let's take a look at this. Okay, basically this is a true and false question. Okay, so this is the correctly written scale of G sharp melodic minor ascending. So G sharp to G sharp. Okay, so let's first look at G sharp. G sharp minor has 5 sharps, right? Like B major. So you have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp. Then you have the melodic minor, and it is ascending, right? So you need to sharpen your 6th and your 7th note. So what is the 6th note? E, right? What is the 7th note? Is F, right? So let's take a look at E. Is there any sharp here for E? No. So to sharpen E, you become E sharp only. Next, the 7th note is F, right? So but F already has a sharp. So if you want to sharpen an F sharp, it becomes F double sharp. Okay? Okay, so let's take a look at this. I should have E sharp here, but there isn't any E sharp. So even without checking anything, I know that this is not the correctly written scale of G sharp melodic minor ascending. So this is false. Okay, next, the largest interval between the two notes next to each other is a major second. Okay, so they are referring to the notes here, okay? Okay, so for this, remember whenever we are doing intervals, we can look at intervals by using the major key as a reference, or we can count the number of semitones, right? So let's put that out. So for this type of questions, right, for 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, right, usually I'll ask students to memorize the number of semitones. Okay, but for 2nd, just remember that if you have major 2nd, okay, the number of semitones is 2 semitones. Minor 2nd, the notes are 1 semitone apart. Augmented 2nd, okay, it is 3 semitones apart. Okay, basically you just need to check, are there any notes called 2 consecutive notes where the interval is more than 2 semitones apart. So let's draw out the piano. Let's start from the F part, because since I'm starting from G sharp. So let me mark up the notes first. So the first note is G sharp, A sharp, then here is B, this is C sharp, D sharp, E, F double sharp, which is G, and then finally G sharp. So you notice here, most of them are major 2nd, right? The first to the 2nd note, 2 semitones apart. So these 2 notes are a major 2nd apart. Okay, here to here, 1 semitone apart, so it's a minor 2nd. Here to here, another 2 semitones, B to C sharp, 2 semitones, so it's a major 2nd. C sharp to D sharp, 1, 2, again 2 semitones, so it's a major 2nd. D sharp to E, they are right beside each other. They are the 2 nearest notes to each other, so it is basically just 1 semitone. 1 semitone is minor. Then E to F double sharp here is 1 semitone, 2 semitone, 3 semitones. It's 3 semitones. So it is greater than a major 2nd interval. In fact, it's an augmented 2nd. Okay? Next, from F double sharp, which is essentially G, to G sharp is 1 semitone. So this one is a minor 2nd apart. So in other words, the largest interval between 2 notes next to each other is not a major 2nd, it's an augmented 2nd. So it is false. Next, there are 3 pairs of semitones in this scale. In order to have 3 semitones, okay, they must be a minor 2nd. So I have 1 semitone, 2 semitone, 3 semitone. So this is true. The median is B. So median is the 3rd note, 1, 2, 3. So it's B. Correct. True. Okay. Next, intervals. Alright, say you're asked to drag and drop one of the 4 note heads into the marked area to create an interval of major 3rd. Your note should be higher than the given one. So if you have F sharp, so a 3rd is A, right? A 3rd above is A. So is it A sharp, A flat, or A whatever? So let's find out. So now, F sharp major. Okay, so let's do it this way. So you can do it by the semitones, or you can use the keys as a reference. So let's use F as a reference. So F major is A, right? So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 semitones. So what happens is, if I decided this is F sharp, right? So this is F major, you have A. Now, if I have F sharp major, in order to have a major third, it should be, I go higher by 1 semitone. So here also go higher by 1 semitone. So you should have A sharp. Okay, so I will take the sharp and then put it at A. Okay, so this is the answer. Next, I need a perfect fifth, right? So I have B flat. So I'm familiar with B flat major, right? So B flat major, you only have B flat and E flat. Okay? So now, B, C, D, E, F. So it's F, right? The fifth is F. And in B flat major, F is just F. No sharp, no flat. So I will just put it here. Okay. Next, this is E. I want diminished 4. Okay, so remember, for fourth, you only have perfect, diminished, and augmented, no minor. Okay, so this is E. You want to go to A, right? E, F, G, A. A is the fourth. Then because we want diminished fourth, do we need sharp, flat, or so on? So let's do this. We use the major key as a reference. Okay, so E major have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, right? Refer to your key signature chart. So A is just A, no sharp, no flat. This is perfect fourth. Now I want diminished fourth. So diminished, it is 1 semitone closer, right? So to make it closer, it must be closer to this note. So here I should have this note here, and this note here is A flat. So therefore, this should be A flat. Okay, moving on. Drag and drop the 4 note hits to create an interval of -6. Okay, so this is B flat. The lowest note is B flat. So let's use the major key as a reference. So B flat major, I only have B flat and E flat. Okay, remember there are two ways to do the intervals, right? One is by counting semitones. Then you need to memorize the the interval chart. So if it's a major second, how many? What is the number of semitones? If it's a minor second, what is the number of semitones, and so on. Another way is to use the major key as a reference. So we do teach this in detail. If you are interested, link in description below. Coming back to this one is B flat, right? So B flat major has only B flat and E flat. Okay, refer to the key signature chart. You should have already written it, okay, for the section on scales. So now a 6 from B is B, C, D, E, A, G, right? So it should be G, right? So should it be G sharp, G flat, G whatever? Okay, let's find out. Okay, so for B flat major, G is just G, because only B flat and E flat, there's no G sharp or G flat, it's just G. So B flat to G is a major 6. So B flat to G is a major 6. But do I want major 6? No, I want minor 6. So I need to make them closer to each other. So I need to make it 1 semitone closer than the interval if it's a major. So therefore, it is here. And this is G flat. So therefore, the answer is G flat. Okay, no. Okay. Okay, next, let's move on to this. Drag and drop the 4 note hits into the marked area to create an interval of major 7th. Okay, so now I want major 7, right? Okay, so F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So the note is E. So is it E sharp, E flat, E, whatever? Let's find out. Okay, so let me draw out the piano again. So let's start off with F, okay, because we know F major only has B flat. So in other words, E will be just E. Now I'm going to move to F sharp, 1 semitone higher. So my E should go to E sharp, which is here. So this one is E sharp or F, okay. in order for it to be a major interval. So if I use F major as a reference, I'll go from F to E, but what I have here is not F, it's F sharp, right, which is one semitone higher than F sharp. So if I go up or go higher by one semitone from F to F sharp, I also need to go from E to E sharp, one semitone higher, okay, so that I preserve the major interval, the major seventh interval. So now that I've done this, I know that if I have F sharp, I should have E sharp, okay, in order to have major seventh. So here you go, E sharp. Wait, make sure that you're aligned properly. Okay, next year, again, we want augmented fourth. So remember, fourth and fifth and eighth, they're special. So it's either perfect or augmented and diminished. There's no minor. Okay, so now from F, I should go to B, right? Okay, F, G, A, B is a fourth, right? So do I need flat or sharp or whatsoever? Let's do this. Okay, so F major has B flat, right, as the key signature. So if F major, you should go to B flat in order to be perfect fourth. Do we want perfect fourth? No, we want augmented fourth. So augmented fourth, that means your interval is one semitone wider. So to make it further away from this note here, you will go to the right? So it should be B. So F to B will be augmented fourth because F to B flat is perfect fourth. So to make it augmented, one semitone higher for this, so it becomes B. So no sharp, no flat, just go to B. Alright, next they are asked select the type of interval. So before you do this, right, always first find out what is the number. Is it a second, is it a third, is it a fourth or fifth? Because if you have a fourth, fifth, and eighth, it will be perfect, diminished, and augmented, no major and minor. But for the rest, you have major, minor, diminished, augmented. Okay? So now let's look at this. F followed by G flat, it is a second apart, right? So straight away, perfect is out because perfect is only for fourth, fifth, and eighth. Let's draw this out. For second, I really like to use the number of semitones. So remember, major second is 2 semitones, right? Minor second is 1 semitone. Okay? No diminished second. Diminished second, you're playing the same note, okay? But they are just enharmonic of each other. Okay, so augmented second, okay? You have 3 semitones apart. So let's look at this. This is F, is here. This is G flat, which is here. So they are just 1 semitone apart. So therefore, it is a minor. Okay. Okay, moving on to the next one. So let's take a look at this. This is A flat and E. So A, B, C, D, E. So it's a fifth, right? So it's a fifth. So when it's 4, 5th, and 8th, straight away you will eliminate major and minor. So it's either perfect, diminished, or augmented. So let's take a look at this. Okay, for this one, I prefer to use the key signature chart because it's going to be way faster. Okay, because there are so many semitones. So now I have A flat and E, right? How about for major? So this is what I want to find. The cross is what I want to find. But for major, so A flat major has what as a key signature? B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, right? So always use the lower note, right, to find the key. So A flat major, okay, my E should be a flat. So from A flat to E flat is perfect. But now it's not from A flat to E flat, it's A flat to E, which is 1 semitone larger than that of perfect fifth. So 1 semitone larger, it goes from perfect to augmented. Okay. Next, let's take a look at this. B flat and B flat. Oh, same. B flat and B flat. D flat and D flat. Okay, this is bass clef, so this is D. D flat to D flat. So same note, but 1 octave higher. So it's going to be an octave. It's a perfect. And they are the same. Same, right? D flat and D flat. So it must be perfect. Okay, bring an octave and same note with the same accidentals. If here's flat, here's flat, here's sharp, here's sharp, here's double flat, and so on, then it must be a perfect eighth. Okay. Okay, this one, B flat to D flat. Okay, so this one, because it's a third, it's easy to count the number of semitones. So you can choose to use your intervals chart. That means this interval is how many semitones, or you can use the major key as a reference. So I'll do both. Okay, so if the lower note is B, right? So let's take a look at B flat major. B flat major has both B flat and E flat, right? So now let's take a look at this. Let me draw out the piano. So this is B flat. Okay, so let me first draw for the B flat major. So because I draw this in D. So if I B flat major, my D is just D. Okay, to B. So this is a major third interval, right? Because B flat major, you only have D. But now, did I have D? No, I have D flat, right? And D flat is here. Okay, this is what I have instead, which is one semitone closer to B flat compared to major third. So one semitone closer to B flat compared to major third will be minor. Okay, so the answer should be minor. So this is how you do by using the lower note as the reference. Okay, then you reference it to the major key of the lower note. Another way to do it is by counting semitones. And this one you need to memorize. Okay, you need to memorize the the interval chart. So if you have a third, okay, you have major, minor, no, I should write minor here, diminish, okay, then augmented. Okay, so all these are going to be in semitones. Okay, so major third is 4 semitones apart, augmented is 5 semitones apart, minor is 3 semitones apart, and diminished is 2 semitones apart. So let's count. Okay, so let me erase this. So now we are going to count semitones. This is the second method. So this is where I start, this is where I am. So it's 1 semitone, 2 semitone, 3 semitones. Based on 3 semitones, it should be minor. So therefore the answer is minor. Okay, next let's go on to triads and chords. Okay, this is the subdominant triads of F sharp minor. Okay, so remember, very easy for this chords chapter. They should be stacked on top of each other. Okay, because we are only looking at the triads, right? They are stacked on top of each other. So one look at this, this is wrong. So the answer is false. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one, okay, they are stacked on top of each other already. So next, this is B flat major. So B flat major, you need B flat and E flat. Okay, but anyway, dominant, that means the fifth chord. So B, C, D, E, F. So it's F, A, C. Okay, so is this F, A, C? Yes. Any flats I need? No, because only B flat and E flat, and the and the dominant triad of B flat major doesn't have B flat or E flat. So it's just F, A, C, no sharp, no flat. So this is true. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one, this is the tonic triad of B major. So B major, okay, use your key signature chart. Okay, you should have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, right? And then the tonic means the first chord. So tonic is B, D, F, and you notice you need D sharp and F sharp. So although this is B, D, F, but there is no D sharp, so this is false. Next, this is the tonic triad of F minor. So F minor, what key signature does it have? Well, it is B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. Okay, so now let's look at this tonic triad of F. So tonic means the first chord, so it is F, A, C. And if you look at this, there is A flat, so it should be F, A flat, C. This is D, F flat, A. Wrong, because it's treble clef. Okay, so this is wrong. So it is false. Okay, next. The key is C sharp minor. Select 1, 4, or 5 to name this triad. The key is C sharp minor. Okay, so the first thing you do is just you count from C to the lowest note, right? This is F sharp, right? C, D, E, F is 4th. So therefore, it's the 4th chord. The key is D flat major, so D flat. What's the lowest note here? Bass clef, right? So this is G flat. So let's count D, E, F, G. G, D to G is a 4th apart, so it's chord 4 again. Okay. The key is E minor, so I start off with E as the first. Then let's look at this. What note is this? This is B, right? So E, F, G, A, B. So it's the 5th, okay? So therefore, it's the 5th chord or the dominant chord. So next, select 1, 4, 5 to name each of the chord marked X, Y, Z. The key is G minor. So to do this, okay, G minor, right? Okay, 1. First, write out the names of the chords. So for G is G, B, D. Okay, then C, E, G, D, F, A. If you want to include the flat, okay, for G minor, it is B flat and E flat, right? So you have a B flat here, E flat here. Okay, then the 7th note for the harmonic minor will lie on the middle. This is the 7th note. Okay, the middle note in the 5th chord is the 7th note, so you will sharpen it. Okay, so there you go. So let's take a look at X. I have C, G, E, C. C, G, E, C, and it's E flat because of the key signature. So this one, X is the 4th chord. Next, Y, G, D, B. G, D, B. G, D, B flat lah. Okay, but it's okay. We don't need to look at the flat and sharp for this one. Okay, you can just look at G, D, B. G, D, B. So it's chord 1. Next, D, F sharp, D, A. D, F sharp, D, A. So it's chord 5. Alright. Okay, now that we have completed the section on chords, let's move on to terms, signs, and instruments. This section is easy to score the 10 marks if you memorize. It's a lot of memory work. Okay, but if you play the pieces often and try to take note of the terms when you're using them, it will come naturally. Okay, so this one, the first one, basically just memorize. So giocoso means playful and merry. Next, tempo rubato, this one with some freedom of time. Next, amabile, that means this one is amiable, I think, in English, so it means pleasant. Select the term that has similar meaning to vite. Okay, so means fast, right? Very fast, right? So it's presto. Presto also means very fast. Okay, this one, what is this? This symbol, it is basically a turn, okay, an upper turn. The cello is the lowest sounding string instrument. No, the double bass is even lower, so cello is not the lowest. Okay. Next, arco means to play near the bridge. No, arco means to arco doesn't mean to play near the bridge. Arco means to use the bow. So it's false. Okay. The tuba can play consort. Okay, the answer is true. Yes, it can. Cymbals produce sounds of indefinite pitch. Yes, there's no da la la la, there's no C, D, E, F, G, so this is true. Okay, and finally, the bassoon is a brass instrument. No, a bassoon is a woodwind instrument, so it's false. Next, let's look at music in context. Okay, so how many semiquavers is the first note of bar 5 worth? So this is the first note, which is a double dotted crotchet, right? So a double dotted crotchet is equals to a crotchet plus a quaver plus a semiquaver. So this is equals to 1 semiquaver. This is equals to 2 semiquavers. And the crotchet is equals to 4 semiquavers. So total 7. The answer is 7. Okay. Moving on to the next part. So in which bar is there a sign that means fourth accented? Here, SF. So it's bar 2. Okay, next. How many intervals of a perfect fourth are there in a melody? Okay, so you need to look for fourth, right? So before you look at whether it's perfect fourth or not, let's first start off by looking for fourth. Okay. Second, second, same note. Second, 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 third, third. Second, 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 third. C to B is second, B to this is a second, second, second apart, second apart. Here to here is a fifth apart. G to C is a fifth apart. Okay. Okay, so this is how you do it. So you continue looking at it this way. Okay. C to D is a second apart. D to E second, E to D second, 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 second. G to C is a fourth. So I found 1/4 here. 1. C to E is a third. Then second, third, second, third, second, third, third. Second. C to G again is a fourth. G to C again is a fourth. Okay. So there are 3 fourths. And they are all the same note. G sharp to C sharp. Okay. And which is the lower note? G is the lower note, right? Okay, so it's from G sharp to C sharp, and G is the lower note. Okay, so I'll start off with G and C. So in G major, I should have G and C. So in G sharp major, in order to have a perfect fourth, it should be G sharp and C sharp. So yes, G sharp and C sharp are perfect fourth, and there are 3 of them. So the answer here will be 3. Next, how many bars contain at least 1 quaver rest? So let's just look out for quaver rest. So this bar here has a quaver rest. No quaver rest. This one has 2 quaver rests. So this is another bar. 2 quaver rests in this bar. Another bar with at least 1 quaver rest. This bar again has a quaver rest. And then this bar here. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars with at least 1 quaver rest. Next, how many times does the leading note to the key of C sharp minor occur? So C sharp minor, the 7th note is B, right? It should be B sharp, okay, because you are going to sharpen the 7th note. C sharp minor, C sharp minor, based on our key signature chart, it has F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. Okay, and then the 7th note is B, but in a harmonic minor, you will sharpen it, so the B becomes a B sharp. So basically, they're asking how many times do you see B sharp? So this, let's count. It's 1 time, 2. This is B sharp 3, 4. Wait, let me check. Did it appear again? No. Okay, so basically there are 4 times. Okay, so the answer here will be 4. Alright, so moving on to this part here. Okay, you're asked to say whether it's true or false. All the notes in this melody can be found in the scale of C sharp harmonic minor. So let's I've written it just now. So it's C sharp minor, harmonic minor. So basically you check the key signature. Yes, C sharp minor has a key signature of F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Okay, so this key signature is correct. And then the 7th note, it should be B sharp. Okay, we talked about it in the previous question. So as long as we do not have any accidentals except for B sharp, then it should be true. But I want you to also check that the B is not B natural, it's B sharp. So check all the B's, make sure that there are sharps. Then this will be true already, because I do not see any other accidentals except for B sharp. Okay, so I just need to check that there's no B natural, then it's B without a sharp, then this will be true. Yes, so it's true because I do not see any B without a sharp. All the B's have a sharp. So the answer is true for this question. Next one, the melody is to be played calmly. No, it's agitated. So it's false, okay, because of this term here. Next, 6 notes are to be played staccatissimo. So this is staccatissimo. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There are only 4. These 2 are just your staccato. It's not staccatissimo. So it's only 4. So it's false. Okay. Next, select which of this bar will sound the same as bar 1. Okay. So for this one, you need to check everything. Okay, including the dynamics and the articulation, because sound exactly the same. So let's take a look at this. Key signature is the same. This is the same. This is 4/4 time. This is FF, getting louder. Let me check, is the rhythm the same? Yes, the rhythm is the same. Then there's an 8. That means you're going to play an octave higher. So this C, an octave higher, it becomes this. Yes, an octave higher. There's no sharp here when there's a B sharp here. So this one is out. Moving on to the next one. Okay, I have... Okay, so for this one, you have to be very careful because sometimes they just miss out something. Okay, like the first one, it is basically this one without the sharp. So now let's move on. They did not put any sharp here. Okay, so now I know that I have F sharp, C sharp, D sharp, right? So basically, okay, if there's no key signature here, this should have a sharp. And once I put a sharp here, this one will be sharpened. C has a sharp. How about D? Yes, D has a sharp also. This needs a sharp. E, okay, and this is E. Okay. So I know that if without the key signature, this needs a sharp. This, wait, let me make this smaller. Yes. Okay, this needs a sharp. This needs a sharp. Okay, this one, the sharp will just continue, right, for the whole bar once you have written it. Okay, so this one are also sharpened already. Then there's a D sharp here. Okay, is the rhythm the same? Yes. 4/4 time can be written as this. This is also 4/4 time is correct. FF, then gradually getting louder. Yes. So this is the same as this. So very likely this is the correct answer. Okay. Wait, I forgot to check. The term is the same. Agitato. Yes, correct. So this is the same. Next, let's move on to this one here. Okay. One look here. This one has F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. But here, only F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So the D sharp must be sharpened. So yes, it is sharpened here. Okay. 4/4 time. Yes, 4/4 time. Same note. Okay. C. Okay, same note, same note, same note. Oh, this is wrong. There should be a triplet sign. So the time value of 3 semiquavers is not the same as the time value of this triplet here. So this is wrong here because the rhythm is not the same. So the answer is the second one. Okay, next. Look at the melody and then answer the questions below. Select which of the bars shows bar 2 correctly written in notes of twice the value. So if you want to write the notes with twice its value, the time signature. Sure. So if it is 4/4, this one remains. Okay, so that the rhythm will remain roughly the same. So remain. So keep this one, you divide by 2. So instead of counting in crotchet beats, you count in minimum beats. So that, okay, the time value is double. Okay, to double the time signature. So to double the time value, what you do, the time signature, keep the top number, then divide the bottom number by 2. So straight away, the third one is out because this is 2 time. Okay, but we want 4 2. So this is out. So we are left with this 2 to look at. Okay, so now I have 4 time. I want to twice its value, right? Bar 2. Bar 2 is here. Okay, so let's take a look at bar 2. So if I have this, I want to times 2, that means a dotted quaver and a semiquaver will now be equals to a dotted crotchet, and this semiquaver will now be equals to a quaver. Okay, so it should be a dotted crotchet followed by a quaver. So both of them are correct. So correct. This one I'm not checking because I've already eliminated it. Next, crotchet times 2 becomes minim. So it should be minim. So this one is correct. This one, the grouping is not correct because this is the second minim beat. So you should just write it as this. Okay. So technically this is not correct. So this one, a crotchet rest, again, times 2 will become a minim rest. Okay, so you should write it as a minim rest. So this one, no, you don't do it this way. Okay, lastly, if you have this 3 quavers with a triplet sign, it is equals to a crotchet, right? The time value is equals to that of a crotchet. Then if you have the times 2, you just remove one tail and then just put the triplet sign here. So both of them are correct. But because of these, they are wrong. So therefore, the first one is the correct answer. Okay, so we have reached the end of the grade 4 sample paper. If you are interested for more exam tips for the ABRSM Music Theory exam, do check out the link below on our music theory courses.